Who just like whipped it up here?
That's not a parking spot, is the thing.
That's, yeah, people aren't supposed to park there.
So someone has some audacity.
Ja Rule, is that you?
He's going to get out of the car and be like,
And we're gonna be like, I'm real. We're like two little ladies.
What is this person doing? That was a glimpse of me and Kara when we're 80.
Yeah, on our front porches.
We're going to live next door to each other.
Of course. In a little hamlet.
With chickens. And mini cows.
And turkeys. Livestock chickens. Well. Hello, Megan. Here's Johnny. I was obsessed with that show when I was little. The late night show with Johnny Carson. Mm-hmm. I thought he was like the most magical person ever.
I watched Letterman and loved him.
Yeah.
Because my mom watched Letterman, so I'd watch Letterman. Happy Friday. Hey, guys. We did the live chat with the Patreon.
It was so fun.
It was really fun. It was fun, especially for our first one, just to like, I don't know, talk about whatever came up. We did a little bit of crime stuff here and there, but mostly it was just all of us getting to know each other and enjoying each other.
Yeah, just random chit chat.
It was really great. So thank you guys.
I loved it a lot.
Yeah, if you were on that was wonderful.
Yes.
It's for the Janet's level. We do it once a month. The next one is going to be, I believe it's March 22nd, which is a Tuesday night, but I'll post it on the Patreon so you can see. I can't believe it's March.
It's my birthday month.
Oh, that's right. Starting tomorrow because we're recording this.
Yes.
On Monday. Okay, so everybody tomorrow wake up and be like, it's Kara's birthday month. You won't hear this till Friday.
Feel it. Yeah, feel that and just let me know.
I bet they did. I bet they noticed.
I bet y'all did notice. I bet they said, this girl is aging.
When you
She's going to be...
That's all.
She is a year older. She is gracefully aged. Megan, have you ever watched the documentary Tabloid?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I've got a treat for you. He's opening his
What is he doing?
Sir, you don't belong here.
You don't even go here.
Guys, y'all can't park there. I don't care if you're fussing at your kids or not.
I'm just imagining the YouTube people right now being like, are they seriously going to sit here for 20 minutes and talk about this?
One of our watchers. Yeah, we are. Megan. Joyce McKinney, born in the Appalachian Mountains of a small town in North Carolina. She was an only child, loved beauty pageants. She entered them often. She was super religious. And she always, like, her two goals in life were to become a celebrity and chastity. Yeah. They definitely go hand in hand.
A lot of people become celebrities.
And believe that their virginities lie. 1973, she converted to Mormonism, moved to Utah, and wanted to study at the church's Brigham University. While in Utah, she got into the social circle of the Osmonds, Donnie and yeah, and she was like in church with them. She had like all these friends in the Mormon group, and she just started dating around. This guy she was infatuated with ended up getting engaged to another woman, and she was real upset about it. It was one of the Osmonds that she was infatuated with, actually. Oh. Wayne Osmond.
I don't know him.
I don't know him.
I only know Donnie and Marie.
Yeah, she was heartbroken. So after that, she met a Kirk Anderson. They started dating, hanging out. She said that he was like a heroic combination of Clark Kent and Gary Cooper, but he just was like this 19-year-old.
Gary Cooper.
Isn't he? What does Gary Cooper look like?
Here's something I found on the web. According to immortalephemera.com, Gary Cooper was a wonderful actor and the best, most beautiful-looking man to ever grace the big screen.
The best, most beautiful? Okay. Show me a picture of Gary Cooper.
Here's what I found online.
Okay. I was picturing the kid from the What You Talking About Willis kid. What's his name? Isn't it also something?
Gary Coleman. I loved that show so much. That's not the same person.
Well, when you said a combination of Clark Kent and Gary Cooper, and I pictured that kid, and I was like, wait, what does that mean?
How is this? Anyways, he was just a bland 19-year-old guy. There's no attractiveness or what you talking about Willis's. None of that happening here. Okay,
Gary Coleman.
Gary Coleman Cooper. Kent.
Often mistaken for Clark Kent.
Clark Kent. Okay, anyways, they ended up sleeping together. She lost her virginity. Both of them were like overwhelmed by their guilty consciences. Kirk decided he was going to go confess his behavior to his Mormon elders. And they were just like, we're ending this love affair. You cannot be with her anymore. This is absolutely ridiculous. So he moved out of Utah and decided to go abroad in England on missionary work. And Joyce was like, whoa, how dare he? I'm pregnant and miscarried. Like, this is not happening. I had your baby.
Oh.
You can't leave me. I carried your baby for whatever.
When did she? How
She
long?
didn't. She didn't.
No, I was like,
no, she didn't.
I mean, I don't know.
She was very angry at the church's reaction to their relationship. That she was like, turning my back on Mormonism. Mormons ain't nothing to me no more. Yeah, but she was like, I still love Kirk, regardless of whether or not he's a Mormon.
I mean,
She was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to follow him across these seas, see what he's all about, see what he's doing in life. She went to Oregon and lived under an assumed name. So nobody would know where she was. And then she
went overseas.
Well, she was at Oregon first. She started in Oregon.
Gotcha.
She was headed overseas. Started in Oregon, went under an assumed name so nobody would know who she was. Because she claimed she was famous. Like, she's this model, like, pretty girl, whatever. So,
you know how that is.
know.
We all do. Yeah.
She was like, you know what? I'm going to hire a detective agency to kind of, like, scope out what's going on, where he's at all times.
I'm going to stalk him, basically.
Yeah. So Keith May went with her on this mission to get him back, to get Kirk back. So they flew to England, used an imitation handgun. They abducted him, drove him to a secluded cottage in Devon. For 3 days, she kept him there. She kept Kirk tied to a bed, and she repeatedly had sex with him in effort to become pregnant. She claims that bondage was always a game for them and that he was all about that life. But after 3 days, he was allowed to leave.
Tied him to the bed for 3 days.
Tied him to the bed.
Did he get to go pee?
I
need to understand.
I don't. You know, I don't know.
Was he drugged?
No.
You know?
I like later on it goes into more details, but in the documentary it's like she's like, I came back and he had ejaculated all over himself and was crying. And I was like, of course he was.
Of course he's crying.
Of course he was.
Lord.
Okay. So once he got out, she was arrested.
Well, thank God.
Yes. And the other guy was arrested too. They were held in prison for 3 months. She was trying to get word out to the press during her incarceration. So she would like hold like her phone number up and like the police cars and stuff, like all these things, like trying to get people's attention, like trying to get the tabloids' attention, like all this stuff. It was just absurd.
Just to get more fame from it?
Yes. So it says McKinney had been desperately trying to get word to the press during her incarceration. When proceedings were held to decide whether the case should go to trial, she got her chance to go public. She demanded that reporting restrictions be lifted, and then she spoke at length to the court about such matters as erotic benefits of oral sex. And it says the reporters were just like scribbling, like just at crazy speeds.
Unable to
tell me
more. What are the erotic
like
benefits?
all of their notebooks were just like full of like her, not Joyce's
Drawings.
nonsense. Yeah.
If you're my kids, turn this episode off. It reminds me of what was the Mona Fandy? Remember that the witch episode?
Yes.
I think I changed that to a murder classification, but it's like an earlier episode where that woman was so obsessed with fame.
Yeah.
And so she murdered somebody and like was thrilled to death with all the fame that came from it.
Yeah. The press was like, she's the Scarlett O'Hara of sexual liberation.
What are you talking about?
Yep. Then the prosecution was like, okay, Joyce was a stalker whose
and a kidnapper,
whose compassion led her
she raped him.
Yeah, who abducted Kirk, forced him to have sex. Like they read out Kirk's submission. It said she grabbed my pajamas from just around my neck and tore them from my body. The chains were tight and I couldn't move. She proceeded to have intercourse. I did not want it to happen. I was very upset. So then she was able to give a final speech to the court. I don't know who her attorney was, but why are you letting this happen? She said, I think I should explain sexual bondage and Kirk's sexual hang-ups. Kirk was raised by a very dominant mother. He has a lot of guilt about sex because his mother has overprotected him all his life. He has to be tied up to have an orgasm. Oh my God.
This woman.
She said, I loved Kirk so much that I would have skied down Mount Everest in the nude with a carnation up my nose.
You know that common saying people say, I love you so much that I would ski down Everest naked with a carnation up my nose. And you're like, wow, that's romance right there.
That's real love.
No one's ever said that to me. And if they don't, then I don't want it. I mean,
I don't want nothing to do with it.
You won't ski down Everest naked for me with a carnation up your nose? What are we even doing?
You know what? They granted her bail. She was out on bail. She went out on Fleet Street's offices looking to sell her story for 50,000 euros. She promised to expose the Mormon church and the Osmond family. She took out advertisements. She was trying to get all of this stuff into like film studios. And everybody was just like, what the heck is happening? Like, this is her claim to fame. Mm-hmm. There were some problems. She was just like crazy. They were like, she's wanting to tell her story to the Daily Express. And they were like, she gave me some bullshit that it was the only paper the Daily Express writer said. Mm-hmm. He said that she said to him, it was the only paper that she trusted and that he was the only journalist she trusted. He said she wanted 40,000 euros in a suitcase. And I said, just hold on. And I went through to Derek Jameson's office, who was the editor. And I said, I've got Joyce McKinney on the telephone and she wants to sell her story to us. And he was like, Derek nearly fell off his chair. He said, fuck me. He said, what does she want? I said, she wants his money in a suitcase. And so he said, well, give it to her. So I rushed back to the phone and told her that would be fine. And where am I supposed to meet her? He flew out to meet Joyce at the Hilton Atlanta airport. These two people who were now currently fleeing from the law because they, were
on bail. Oh, Keith got out too?
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. He said they were turned up in grease paint, dressed like characters from a really bad amateur production of Alibaba. He said, he was just like, this is absurd. Like, what is happening? Like, they just like changed their profile and everything. She said she was paranoid that FBI agents were tracking her. So they insisted that they move from hotel to hotel around southern states as they took down her story. She told it in a colorful way, but there was no sense that she had ever been anything but a sweet country girl, and she got caught up in the business in London, and everything was part of a Mormon conspiracy. I thought it was a bit boring, really. Mm-hmm.
I wonder what happened to Kirk during all this time.
Yeah, like are you okay, bud? So May 22nd, 1978, the Daily Express published the Joyce McKinney story under the front page headline, My Undying Love. She was photographed in a roll-neck sweater, smiling with a carnation in her teeth. It said, for the first time yesterday, read the opening paragraph, Joyce McKinney talked freely about the love affair behind her astonishing sex and chains kidnapping case. She described her love for Kirk Anderson, tender, profound, indestructible.
Imagine a man rapes a woman, kidnaps, holds her hostage for 3 days, rapes a woman,
Yeah.
and then goes on the front page with a story about how much he loves her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a stalker.
Right.
You going to jail.
But I guess since she's a woman, she can do this.
Yep. When a friend of McKinney, Joyce's, phoned and told her what had happened, she became hysterical. It was like something from The Exorcist. She screamed and screamed, and she appeared to me to be about to jump off the balcony. So I'm guessing talking about Joyce, like the way they ran it.
Mm-hmm.
It said they took her to a nearby hospital where she was sedated. Joyce. They called her parents. They got to the hotel early next morning. Joyce became upset again. Oh, she was super mad about the press.
Mm-hmm.
They said she was trying to sink her teeth into her dad's arm. 2 state troopers turned up in cowboy hats and dark glasses in the small hotel room that had all these people in there. Me, Brian, the photographer, Keith, May, the parents, Joyce. Joyce was sitting there looking like Ophelia in a nightie, staring at us, her hair all over the place. And they all just looked, her accomplice looked really alarmed. It says, in quotes, the state trooper asked us what was going on, so we tried to explain the story to him. One of them, it was like Laurel and Hardy, actually took his hat off, scratched his head at one stage as we were talking about East Grinstead Mormon church tied to the bed. They were completely baffled by it. They said they weren't the only ones baffled by it. So the Express tried to dismiss the claims of the lurid past. At no time. Keith was quoted saying, did she pose in the nude? So they're saying that she's like, an ex-boyfriend came up and was like, I've got these photos of her. She's like, here, I'll sell this to you, like all this stuff.
So that's why she was so upset.
So she's like freaking out because like the papers have this. And so they got it off the front page. 6 years later, Joyce is arrested at Salt Lake City Airport, where Kirk worked.
6 years later?
She was where Kirk worked 6 years later.
Why was she out on bail all this time? Did she not go to trial at all?
Yeah. In her car were a set of handcuffs, some rope, a notebook detailing Kirk's movements. And she never married. She maintains that her greatest love story ever told was the one with Kirk. And in the movie, she's just talking about how she just loved this man and he's the one that got away. Like she was stalking him at the airport where he worked. So then she was living in California. She had a pit bull and it was her favorite dog ever. And she sent it to China to have it cloned, or sent some of its DNA or something to have it cloned. And this doctor claimed he was cloning her pit bull. So she ends up with 5 dogs from said cloned pit bull.
Can you actually clone your dog?
I don't know. I feel like
I would clone Dex in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would have 10 Dexes and I'd be perfectly happy.
Yeah, Doc, my German Shepherd.
For the rest of my life.
If I could have,
just Dex, Dex, Dex,
yeah.
Dex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it ended up, she did some more awful things and her dogs all ended up at the animal shelter.
Oh, no.
But they found homes. They were just a mess because they kept finding them in like kennels and not cared for.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Somebody even said it looked like she was living in squalor at one point.
Well, I mean,
so
she's clearly mentally ill.
Oh, it gets worse.
But no one's doing anything. Mm-hmm. They're just putting her on the newspaper and letting her talk to everybody about how in love she is. And she wants to ski down Everest naked with the carnation up her nose. Like, she's not well.
The mental illness gets worse. So I think this was 2019. I forgot to write down the date. 2019, the article was published in 2020. And I can't find anything like past, I think because of COVID for her proceedings, but June 17th, 5:35 a.m. Surveillance video from a Valley Village neighborhood caught this older gentleman, getting hit by a car while he was walking his small dog across Magnolia Boulevard. He was a 90-year-old male. He was just in the middle of a crosswalk. Driver, Joyce McKinney. She drove off. His death made headlines. His family's on TV. They shared pictures of the truck. The cops said the LAPD detective, Holly, said, I had over 20 leads to follow up on the next day. June 21st, a tip came in that was pretty good. There was a truck police might be interested in parked near Hollywood Burbank Airport. They said they immediately go to look at the truck. They get up to the truck and they see Joyce sitting in the driver's seat. They're like, oh, God. We've dealt with her a million times for a million different reasons. What is she doing? How are we going to get her out of the car? Because they think she did this and she's just going to like go with a fight. They said she didn't even know they were there, jumped out of the truck, pulled her pants down, and started peeing.
Guys.
Yeah.
How did she get to this point with no one doing anything?
Exactly.
Like, I really want, I mean, she's dangerous. So
Yeah.
But good Lord, she's clearly mentally ill. Why? This is 2019. We should be better than this by now. Someone should do something. Of course, as we've talked about before, it's really hard to do something when someone's mentally ill. But oh my God.
Yeah. They said that she was evasive. She avoided questions about whether she frequented Valley Village. The detective said that she learned from an employee at the Pizza Hut there, where the crash scene was, that Joyce was a regular at the Pizza Hut. The security cam footage shows her at the restaurant that night. It said she claimed she didn't know anything about the crash. She did admit she was the only driver of her vehicle. They took her into custody, and it said she had gotten into an altercation while trying to use a shower at a local LA fitness club. So there's another
Is she homeless
battery.
And just has a truck? Or
no, she's living, because at the time she had 3 of the 5 dogs that were those 2 were taken to the shelter. So in August, weeks before her mental competency hearing, the detective talked about the case with a reporter. The detective said she believed she was a narcissistic person. She said there were previous encounters with police, and she would tell them about the potential book she was writing, a movie future that she had. And then there's just like all these conversations that are on body cam footage, and they're all like, this is just
narcissistic, but also some sort of, she's not in touch with reality at all.
Yes.
Does it seem like.
Well, that's the thing. That's the next thing this officer says. They said she was coherent and she chose her words carefully. What she was saying was making sense. If anything, I don't know that she had the ability to care about anybody but herself.
But she got out of the truck and peed.
Exactly.
And she held a man captive and raped him, and doesn't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
And there's something wrong.
Yeah. Well, then, so the animal shelter starts receiving letters from Joyce from jail. Each one is about 20 pages. It says in the letters, she says she's being held against her will and that she wants to reunite with her dogs, which she names. She's very intelligent, they said. She constantly plays the victim. She has not acknowledged what she's done in any of the letters. She just said she's been falsely accused and is being held captive by the sheriff's department. So on July 2nd of that year, the district attorney's office filed against her 1 felony count each of assault with a deadly weapon, hit and run, resulting in death, of vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence. 2 days later, records show her public defender declared doubt about her mental competency to stand trial. 20 days after that, a judge ordered mental competency hearing for her. September 9th of that year, she's in front of LA Superior Judge Robert Harrison. Her second public defender, William Edwards, said at first he believed some of the details she told him about her life could be delusions. Yeah. He said, I wasn't sure if some of the things she was saying were true or not. And then when her lawyer looked for himself, he found a lot of it actually is. He said, I encourage you to Google her name. She's a fascinating figure in our culture, which is horrible to throw out there.
What?
Yes.
She's not fascinating.
Yes.
She's mentally ill.
Exactly. So Judge Harrison said she is mentally unfit to stand trial, and they ordered her housed in a mental health facility. She was taken to the Metropolitan State Hospital, which is a 162-acre facility in Norwalk. And then in February of the next year, I think 2020, either 2020 or 2021, Judge Van Nuys ruled she's not competent. So they had another hearing scheduled for August, but I can't find anything after that. So I don't know if nothing was heard because of COVID or if something happened to her. I don't know. Because when I Googled...
I was trying to figure out how old she was.
Yeah.
This says the guy that she hit was a Holocaust survivor. Oh my God. This woman. But I was just trying to see, like, how old was she when this happened? I can't.
Yeah. I think she was like in her 60s, maybe.
I was going to say, because the thing with the kidnapping happened in the 70s, right?
Yes. She was born...
Oh, no. Math.
Does it say when she was born? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't say when she's born. How old is this woman?
Yeah.
You should look her up. Everybody should Google her just to see her face. It's like,
Google her pics. So yeah, she's a horrible human with a lot of mental health issues, which fortunately for her, towards her later life, the judges were getting her into...
She's 72.
72.
Right now.
Or getting her some mental health help. But unfortunately, it was this late in her life and horrible things had to happen for this to happen, for her to get here.
And we know she was doing...
horrible things
in the 70s.
Yeah, and nobody stopped it. I mean, it got so big in the news that everybody was just like, it is what it is. She's just like this young victim.
Yeah.
This poor guy was then stalked again 6 years later.
Oh, they were sentenced to a year in prison for skipping bail, but it was in the UK. So
yeah, so they were just like, bye.
That's why. I was like, how is she not? But that's why.
The U.S. didn't extradite.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and then she goes and hits a Holocaust survivor with her car. Why?
Yeah.
Just because she's not well.
Right.
All he's doing was walking his dog.
I know.
Jeez. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to now want to watch Tabloid, though. Like, I've heard of it. I've heard lots of things about it, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, it is like, this doesn't even do it justice. Like, this is just like the tidbits of it. You need to like get a deep dive into like her person. Because she like goes into like her book she's writing and like all this stuff. And you're just like, you're crazy.
The person that immediately came to mind when I looked up her picture was Carol from...
Carol Baskin.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they kind of look alike.
Whacked him.
But it's like, that's the personality I discovered.
Carol Baskin.
Okay. Thank you for that story.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for listening.
Yes, thank you all so much.
What else do I have to tell you? Oh, we made a Facebook page.
We did.
For the podcast, which we've never had before. So Kara and I both run social media for our jobs, like our real, actual jobs.
Yeah.
And not this fun job that we have here.
Right.
And so I think that's why we were both like, we don't want to do another Facebook page.
We need another.
But then we realized that if we do a Facebook page, you all can share posts from that. And you all can't really share from the Facebook group.
Right.
Now, the Facebook group's not going to change at all.
Yeah.
But if you all would like to go like the Facebook page, that'd be great. And then, share it with your friends or whoever.
Yes, please.
Just to help get the word out about everything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We love you
so much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.